Don't be surprised when the next Xbox comes out and it's missing one of your favorite features. What's up, y'all? I'm Ray, and this is my channel, Xbox Ready, where we get on and we talk about Xbox stuff. The latest news, rumors, games, accessories, pretty much anything I want to talk about as long as it's about Xbox in some way. Now, do you guys remember Project Brooklyn? It's been a few years, so if you need a refresher, don't worry, I got you. Brooklyn was part of these major Xbox leaks that came out in 2023. I remember it clear as day. I was in Chicago for my buddy Jimmy's wedding. I was at my hotel when these dropped and I was like, holy crap, I need to go down to the basement of this hotel in like the workout room and film a video about this. It was this weird looking Alexa style Xbox. And at the time, we all thought that this was going to be the mid-gen refresh for the Series X. Of course, plans changed for Xbox very rapidly and never saw the light of day. But I remember when these leaks came out, people were furious. Gamers were furious because they could not believe that Xbox would produce a Series X that was all digital. It was widely believed that Xbox was gonna ditch the disc drive entirely and go all in on digital gaming. That did not sit well with a lot of people, and for good reason. I haven't bought a physical Xbox game disc in a while, but if I really wanted to, I would like the ability to do so. But of course that wasn't the case. They kept making the standard Series X consoles with the disc drive, but they did end up making more digital-only Xbox consoles. They put out the white Series X, doesn't have a disc drive. They put out the black Series S, obviously all digital as well. So even though Brooklyn never saw the light of day, this doomsday scenario that people were talking about where Xbox goes all in on digital media and we're forced to just be tied to the Xbox Store or Game Pass, that's still very much in play, especially when you take into account this new data coming out from Circana. They say that 49% of PS5 and 66% of Xbox Series hardware sales in 2025 did not include a physical media drive. About 2/3 of Xbox consoles sold in 2025 were all digital. It's not entirely surprising because typically those all digital models, the Series S to the white Series X, are cheaper than the Series X with the disc drive, but still I think it gives us an important clue on what to expect from Xbox's next-gen machine. There's been a lot of talk about what the next Xbox is going to have. Oh, it's going to have access to multiple storefronts. It's going to have access to this fancy chip that will automatically AI upscale our games to look amazing. But I think it's time to have a conversation about what it's not going to have. And I believe it's not going to have, at this rate, a disc drive. The disadvantages of owning games or any other media digitally, they're well known because at any point the company that sold you that thing digitally can just say, it's not yours anymore, you don't have access to it, whether they, pull the plug on these game servers or you lose access to the account that bought that digital media. A lot of things can go wrong that can lock you out. That type of shit just doesn't happen if you you buy a record or you buy a DVD. No one can take that away from you as long as you have something to play that media, DVD player, record player, whatever. But that still hasn't stopped people from overwhelmingly buying their games digitally. In 2024 and 2025, digital game sales dominated compared to physical. Upwards of 90 to 95% of games were bought digitally. And if you look at the Xbox platform specifically, it's anywhere from 75 to 90%. You have to imagine that Xbox is looking at those numbers and thinking to themselves, why are we even making physical copies of our games in the first place? And in many ways, you can see them not only in their consoles, but just moving on from physical games entirely. You go to Target or any other retailer, it's mostly game cards. You can't find actual game discs. A lot of their major first-party games don't have physical games. I remember when they came out with Hi-Fi Rush and there was no physical copy at all. That came with the collector's edition down the line. So if they're not even bothering to make physical game copies of their first-party releases, and they're heading more towards this future where the next Xbox is going to be more like a PC, I think it's a pretty safe bet considering all of that they're not going to have a disc drive in the next Xbox. The Series X is going to be the last Xbox console with a disc drive. The Xbox Ally X, you can only play games digitally. PC gaming in general is pretty much all about digital game ownership. From Xbox's perspective, that all makes sense. If people aren't buying physical games, why even make a disc drive? But from the fan perspective, it sucks. I think the best case scenario that fans of physical games can hope for when it comes to Project Magnus, the next-gen Xbox, is that Microsoft finally gets moving on this patent that they filed forever ago that details this disk drive that you hook up to a digital Xbox or whatever that could scan the physical disc of a game and give you the digital license for it so you can download the game on a Series S or something. Xbox has kind of already made the commitment to say, hey, your existing Xbox library will be supported on the next Xbox hardware. It may be a lot to ask for, but hopefully that means that any discs that we bought this generation will be compatible with the next gen Xbox. Hell, hopefully that means any physical games that we bought previous to this generation as well. Maybe you're still holding on to Xbox One discs that you want to use on Project Magnus. That should be supported too. This is something that we've seen on the PlayStation side of things. If you buy a PS5 Slim, it comes as a digital console, but if you're like, you know what, I really am missing the disc drive, I want it, you can go ahead and buy that attachment and add it to your console. With all of Microsoft's resources, I feel like that's something that they can easily do. Give us like a build your own situation. If you want to save some money, okay, Project Magnus, there's a digital option, but if you want a disc drive that can play old Xbox physical games, go ahead and upgrade or like buy the attachment, whatever. It's very clear that Xbox is all in on this future of Xbox as PC, PC as Xbox, the mind is the body is the soul. Sarah Bond did another interview where she kind of danced around the question that all of us want an answer to, this like whole 30% accountability margin. She was like, forget that 30% number, check out this number. 20%. That's the type of engagement increase that we see from people who use Xbox Play Anywhere. I mean, I guess that makes sense because chances are if you buy an Xbox game that is Play Anywhere compatible, you are playing that game across a multitude of devices, your PC or Xbox or wherever your ally. I also have to assume that you're a more like dedicated or hardcore Xbox fan, but I'm starting to question like how appealing is Xbox Play Anywhere to people outside of the Xbox system, people who aren't Xbox fans. To me, it's awesome because I have an Xbox console, I got a PC, I got all these Xbox peripherals, and of course my saves transfer between all of that. But like, what's the percentage of people that look at a game that's tagged Xbox Play Anywhere and say, ooh, I want that, versus, I don't know, going and buying it on Steam? Since we're putting PC into the equation, I assume that those are the two choices. And that's where things kind of start to fall apart for Play Anywhere. It's great for longtime Xbox fans because it kind of gives us this incentive to try things outside of our comfort zone, which is console. If you want to take up PC gaming, oh, I can just download the same game that I was playing on my console, try it out here, try out the Xbox app, and in a way, it future-proofs our library. But you know that it's not working the opposite way. Like, how many PC players are like, oh yeah, if I buy this Xbox Play Anywhere, I can go and buy an Xbox and play it on there? Maybe that's happening. I doubt it's happening very often. Everything that Xbox is doing points to the fact that they want to slowly wean themselves off of selling traditional consoles. Sure, they've said in the past, our console audience is important to us, trust us guys, but right now that only goes as far as making sure that the console audience can still play their games on new Xbox hardware, either through Play Anywhere or this plan they have with AMD to make new Xboxes backwards compatible. Half the equation of Play Anywhere is the console, and if less and less people are buying Xbox consoles, like, how many people are really going for that Xbox PC combo anymore? Well, this just really seems like a bridge for their current audience to stay within their ecosystem. We have to assume with Xbox going more towards PC with Project Magnus, there won't be any more console versions of their games eventually. Once that happens, the entire point of Play Anywhere will just disappear, or are they gonna replace it with like, buy the Xbox version, also get the Steam version? And while yeah, it's cool to say, you buy one game, you get the console version, you get the PC version, the 2-for-1 special, you can play it anywhere you want. The same can be said of, I buy the Xbox game on Steam, I download Steam on the next Xbox, or I use Steam on the Xbox Ally X, or a Steam Deck, or a Steam Machine, or a Lenovo Legion Go, any of these consoles that will have Steam OS on them. I get the same result. Let's finish off the video talking about Fable. I was super excited to get a deeper look into this game this past week in Developer Direct. This has got to be one of my most anticipated games of this year, and I thought it had a very strong showing in Developer Direct. But is it possible that one mistake, one missing feature, could derail the success of a game entirely? That's a situation that Fable may or may not be in ever since they confirmed that your decisions, be they good good or bad are not going to affect your appearance like they did in those original Fable games. Back in the day, if you did enough objectively good things in Fable, you would develop a halo, you would have this bright, glowing aura about you, you'd have butterflies flying around you. And if you did enough bad things like eat 5 raw baby chicks, you'd grow devil horns and everyone would see that you were a disgusting, evil being. Playground confirmed that that feature is not going to be present in their iteration of Fable. They took it a step further and said that there's not going to be objective good and evil. It's going to be more gray, it's going to be more subjective. You can do one thing and people might think it's awesome, or another group might think that you're the devil incarnate. No matter what your choice is though, it's not going to affect your character's appearance. This has led some people to say that this is not a Fable game at all. This is a core part of what makes Fable Fable, and the fact that it's not going to be in this new version means that this game is going to suck. It's dead on arrival. I have mixed feelings about this because I do have very fond memories of that original morality system and how it affected my appearance. It blew my mind at the time. Outside of the whole appearance change, your good and your evil choices affected what abilities you had access to. There was some magic, for example, that you can only use if you were really, really good. Same thing if you were completely evil. There were certain demon doors that you can only open if you did something unspeakably terrible in front of them. Listen, I loved those original Fable games, especially the first two, and while I am gonna miss that aspect of it, I'm not ready to write off this new Fable game just yet. One of the biggest complaints that I see is that NPCs aren't gonna react to you in the same way they would if you rolled up to them with some devil horns or had a halo on top of your head. I think there are still ways to get NPCs to react to your appearance, even if you don't have any of those standard good or bad features. For example, if you decide to max out physique, max out your strength, you get super buff, that's something that NPCs can easily comment on. If you decide to wear like a thief's outfit, that's something that people can comment on as well. That's easy stuff that people have been putting in their games for years at this point, ever since Skyrim came out. So I'd imagine that it would be an easy thing for Playground to implement as well. I see other people complaining about the fact that your reputation is gonna be different from town to town. A lot of people say that doesn't make sense. I honestly think that's a really cool addition and it's a much welcome change. If you go back and you play that original Fable, whether it's the Lost Chapters or the Anniversary Edition, right away the morality system or the way the word travels about your actions doesn't make sense. That first game starts off with your dad saying, hey, it's your sister's birthday, go and do good deeds around town, and then when you do those things, come back to me, I'll give you a gold piece. One of the first situations that you run into is this guy messing around with another girl that's not his wife, and when he discovers you, he's like, oh, keep your mouth shut about this and I'll give you a gold coin. If you agree to take the gold coin, if he buys your silence, if you go into the town, you walk like 20 feet, immediately the entire town knows. How? Who was there even watching me? Like, no one was even around to even witness that I did that. The people who perpetrated the crime that paid me off haven't even made it and talked to anyone yet. How does everyone know that I've been a bad boy? How do the guards know that I'm an accessory to improper lady conduct? It's moments like that that make me think, yeah, this whole thing where my reputation is different between towns makes total sense. In a fairy tale world where there's no social media and no cell phones, I'd imagine that it'd take a really long time for my exploits, whether they be good or bad or however you want to interpret them, to reach a town on the other side of the map. All this to say, I'm still really excited about the new Fable game. What we've seen so far looks really good, and while it may not be a one-to-one recreation of the Fable that we knew back in the early 2000s, I still think they're doing a pretty decent job of pushing this game into the modern era while keeping a lot of the same features and things that we liked about the originals. Anyways, guys, that's all the Xbox stuff I got to talk about today. Thanks so much for joining me for another edition of Xbox Ready. If you made it this far into the video, consider subscribing. See you in the next one.